Hi, it's Llarold, and today I'm going to talk about how to play Vengeance Demon Hunter in the War Within Season 3. So I've been keeping up with Demon Hunter since Shadowlands. Well, I mean, I guess the Legion Alpha, really. But I kind of took a break on playing it late in Dragonflight up until maybe the last couple of months or so, and I was really missing out. I thought I didn't like it. I was wrong. I love it. It is the most popular tank in Mythic Plus for a reason. It's insanely fun, it is preposterously tanky, the group utility is incredible, the damage is good, and it just feels really good to play. This video is going to be specifically focused on Mythic Plus, since that applies to most people, and that's the main place where I'm playing Demon Hunter this season. So let's get into it, but first be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Join our Discord as well, we've got about 800 or 900 people in there now, so join our community and say hello to me and Sunset, the link is in the description. Alright, so let's go ahead and start with hero talents, because hero talents are going to be relevant to our tier set, our talent options, and our rotation as to which of the two hero talent trees that we're going with. So let's start with Aldrachi Reaver, because if you're still using the old tier set from Season 2, Aldrachi Reaver is just naturally a lot better than Fel-Scarred, specifically because the Hunt, which has a very high chance to reset if you're wearing the old tier set, automatically triggers Reaver's Glaive, which is just something that really isn't documented anywhere in the tooltips that I can see. Like, it's not in any of these ability tooltips, but it's an incredible power. So you want to be casting the Hunt very often if you're wearing the old tier set, and taking advantage of how many extra Reaver's Glaive combos that you're getting. Because of this, and because of the value of generating and consuming souls, you do play very differently from the way that you do with Fel-Scarred. You basically are just going to build your whole talent setup and your rotation around generating as many souls as possible, triggering as many Reaver's Glaives as possible, and then using that to get as many Fury of the Aldrachi procs onto enemies as possible. So Fury of the Aldrachi gives you this combo where if you trigger Reaver's Glaive, hit Fracture, and then Soul Cleave, you will get 6 giant slashes of damage on everything in front of you. If you're wearing the new 4-piece tier set, then you're going to get 12 slashes instead. So this is obviously a huge amount of damage. Even if you don't have the new 4-piece, it's still a lot of damage. It's very good. There's a lot of other value in this hero talent setup as well, but the main purpose of what you're trying to do is just getting as many Reaver's Glaive combos as possible, and trying to maintain as much uptime on Thrill of the Fight as possible. That second bonus of 15% increased damage and healing for 10 seconds after you've completed a combo is humongous, and you just want to be spacing that out. Like, every time that falls off, if you're able to re-proc it, you want to be doing so. Now moving over to Fel-Scarred, this is a talent setup that I think is going to be stronger once you have the full 4-piece of the new Season 3 tier set. And it functions quite differently from Aldrachi Reaver. You don't have that comboing playstyle. Instead, what you have is a bunch of bonuses that are built around Metamorphosis, and this actually works with both like your hard cast real Metamorphosis, but also Fel Devastation triggered Metamorphosis. So Fel Devastation, whenever you cast it, your next Soul Cleave and Spirit Bomb will be empowered. They'll do a bunch of damage in the form of a Demon Surge. It just adds like a massive amount of damage, millions of damage every time you go into demon form. So you want to take advantage of that by using Dark Glare Boon. I think that using Collective Anguish, because you are going to be casting Fel Devastation quite often, is also like pretty good. There's no natural synergy with the Hunt, so that's not really as valuable either. Also, you don't really care as much about generating and consuming souls. Like, they're good defensively, but there's no other comboing value going on. You just want to generate and spend as much Fury as you can, as quickly as you can. Demonic Intensity, this capstone talent here in the Fel-Scarred tree, makes it so that when you activate Metamorphosis, note that's not triggering it by casting Fel Devastation. Actually, hard casting Metamorphosis will cause you to trigger Demon Surges out of Fel Dev, Immolation Aura, and Sigil of Flame, and you also get the cooldowns of Sigil of Flame and Fel Devastation reset when you activate Metamorphosis. You hard cast it, so you're able to Fel Dev, use Spirit Bomb and Soul Cleave, have that Fel Dev Metamorphosis fall off, then hard cast Metamorphosis and have all those skills come off of cooldown, or both of those skills come off of cooldown, and then be able to trigger 5 Demon Surges out of that. And so now let's take a look at the tier set bonuses. I have the 2-piece on my character already, which feels pretty good. I got lucky out of the weekly cash. And the way that the 2-piece for Aldrachi Reaver works is very simple. Your Reaver's Glaive does 50% more damage, and then your physical only damage. So that's like Fracture and Soul Cleave and auto attacks. Those are all increased by 25%. So the 4-piece makes it so that the Fury of the Aldrachi bonus makes your Soul Cleave hit 12 times or give you 12 extra slashes if you use it second in your Reaver's Glaive combo. And so because that is so much damage, you want to always Fracture and then Soul Cleave. Always. Once you have the 4-piece, no matter whether you're in single target or not, you always want to do Soul Cleave as your second skill. The Fel-Scarred 2-piece bonus is a 30% bonus to Immolation Aura, which is fine, and 20% more Soul Cleave damage while Immolation Aura is active, so you do have a little bit of a comboing playstyle, like an incentive to try and generate Fury when you're not having Immolation Aura active, and then burning Fury while it is active. It's not that huge of an incentive, but it will add a little bit more damage. The real moneymaker here is the 4-piece, and this is why I think Fel-Scarred is better once you have the 4-piece, but not really beforehand. It makes it so that entering Demon form now instantly gives you a Demon Surge and pulls out a Demon Soul Fragment from an enemy that gives you 20% damage for the next 15 seconds. This is just passive free damage, but it's very strong. It also interacts with the Demonic Intensity bonus where your Demon Surge damage is higher each time it's triggered previously. And so that's in pushing you from, instead of getting 2 Demon Surges on a Fel Dev, you're now getting 3, and you're getting, instead of 5 Demon Surges out of actually hard casting Metamorphosis, you're now getting 6. So it's just a really good damage bonus on top of also getting 20% more damage as well. And so now let's take a look at some talents here. So this is the Aldrachi Reaver setup that I would continue to use if you're really trying to min-max and you're still wearing the old tier set. You're not going to bother with Collective Anguish on the left-hand side of the tree at all. You're not really that worried about Fury either, like Live by the Glaive and just things that give you Fury generation like Volatile Flame Blood. They're just not valuable at all to you. You really are focused on generating and consuming souls, and Fury just doesn't really enter into it all that much. You also don't really get a lot of value out of, like, Fel Dev is fine, but you don't necessarily want it like bad enough to take Dark Glare Boon at the cost of Last Resort or any of these other options in the bottom section of the tree. And this is the Fel-Scarred talent setup, and this is actually what I've been playing with, even though I only have the 2-piece of the new tier set, just because I kind of want to get more comfortable with playing Fel-Scarred, and I kind of find it a little more fun in Mythic Plus. I've definitely had an easier time holding thread at the start of pulls playing Fel-Scarred. I think having Cycle of Binding, having Sigil of Flame being on considerably shorter cooldown, and then also getting those Sigil of Flame cooldown resets every time I hardcast Metamorphosis is just really, really helpful. This does reset both of the charges of Sigil of Flame as well, so you have an incentive, like I'll just show it off here. You know, you don't necessarily want to double cast Sigil of Flame, but you do want to have both of those on cooldown before you hit meta, because, boom, now they're both back. You don't want to just waste a charge. And so because of this, and because of how passively tanky you are, even when you're not in demon form, thanks to Enduring Torment giving you a bunch more armor and a bunch more max health, and then also just having super high uptime on demon form, you don't really need Last Resort or Feed the Demon. I think Dark Glare Boon really does enough to keep you super tanky. Like, I will say my Demon Hunter is quite a lot less geared than my Paladin, and doing similar level keys, just, you know, kind of not super high level keys, but similar level keys with the Paladin, I felt way tankier on the much more baby geared Demon Hunter thus far in the season. And Sunset would agree as well. The healer perspective is also, Demon Hunter is a lot tankier than Paladin. So because you don't get any synergy out of the hunt, Fel-Scarred really has no incentive to take the hunt, and I really think Collective Anguish is actually worth taking. I love I-Beam, it's probably my favorite skill in the game, and I would rather have that in Fel Dev in the first place, but, you know, this is kind of just the closest thing you can get to having I-Beam. It's just getting one every time you cast Fel Dev as well. It is also like a pretty good amount of extra damage, so not bad to have. So there are some options that you can play around with in the right-hand tree here. I like Sigil of Chains in every situation. Having that group CC, like that group utility CC, is just so important. I would never give up Sigil of Chains, even though it isn't really that mandatory in Mythic Plus. I would never give it up for something like Extended Spikes or maybe Calcified Spikes. These are both great defensive talents, but I don't know. The group CC value, I think, is a lot more valuable for me in most situations, maybe not in super high level pushing, but in all of the sort of mid-level baby keys that we've done together, that has definitely not proven necessary. And having Sigil of Chains being able to CC enemies along with Sigil of Misery and Sigil of Silence and Chaos Nova has been really helpful. You can really make things a lot easier for everyone in your group. If somebody misses an interrupt, or it seems like they've overlapped an interrupt and they're not going to be able to catch the next one, you're able to cover up a lot of sins from other players. All right, now let's talk about the Vengeance Demon Hunter rotation. So Vengeance Demon Hunter is a bit of a weird class because it has two different resources that it generates and consumes, but it doesn't do so at the same time, like, Rogue or something. You generate both Fury and Souls with your primary rotational generator skills, which are Fracture, Immolation Aura, and Sigil of Flame, and you basically want to have those skills on cooldown all the time. You don't have to have them all the way on cooldown, but you never want to be letting them sit unused while you're in combat. You're wasting resources. You also want to use all of your cooldowns pretty liberally unless you're holding them for a specific purpose. You want to be using Fiery Brand often, Fell Devastation often, Metamorphosis very often. This is probably my personal biggest weakness in playing Demon Hunter, is I am not liberal enough with hitting Metamorphosis. You do need to hit that very frequently. You also want to use the Hunt very liberally if you're playing Aldrachi Reaver. After that, you want to try and maintain Demon Spikes uptime as well as you can. And then where the rotation kind of differs is if you're playing Aldrachi Reaver, it's very simple. You just generate the souls as much as you can, and you don't focus on wasting Fury or not. If you can generate souls, you want to do so. If you can consume souls, you want to do so. Fury never really enters into it. If you're playing Fel-Scarred, you have Spirit Bomb, and so in AoE, you are going to want to use Spirit Bomb, and you're going to want to pay attention to your soul generation. You're going to try and generate up to 5 souls, and then consume them with Spirit Bomb, and then if you have Fury left over to consume, and you don't have any souls active, you'll want to use Soul Cleave in order to eat some of that Fury, and then go back to generating both souls and Fury with Fracture and Immolation Aura and Sigil of Flame. So when you're playing Fel-Scarred, you do want to be more mindful of your Fury generation, not overcapping it, and also your soul generation in AoE, again with Spirit Bomb. In single target, you don't care about Spirit Bomb, you really are just generating Fury and then consuming it before you cap, generating it, consuming it before you cap, and that's kind of it. Because of Focused Cleave and Soul Crush giving you extra damage out of Soul Cleave on your primary target and extra frailty stacks on your primary target from Soul Cleave, you do have an incentive to always Soul Cleave a primary focused target whenever you're doing anything in Mythic Plus, whether it's a boss or a lieutenant or some sort of bigger elite than everything else that you're fighting. You always want to be auto-attacking and Soul Cleaving off of a focus target or a major target, and then kind of using focus interrupt and focus crowd control on lesser targets as necessary. All right, now let's move on to stats. The very simple version of it is that you just want as much item level as you could possibly get, and then after that, haste is your best stat, crit and verse are both very good, and mastery is not great. Alright, that pretty much covers it. Demon Hunter is the best tank in WoW right now. It was my 3rd or 4th ult up until, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago. I might even be seriously considering making it my main right now. I'm definitely enjoying it the most of the 6 tanks at the moment. I really can't recommend it highly enough. People will want to bring you into their groups. If you're using your crowd control well and staying alive, you're going to be having a great time. Your healers are going to love you. Everybody's going to love you. You're going to be the belle of the ball. Alright, that's it. Be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and join the Skipping Sleep Studio Discord, and say hello to me in Sunset already. And finally, thank you to all of our channel members. If you want to support us so we can keep making more WoW content, become a channel member as well. Thanks for watching. Bye.